Hey guys, Coach Brick's back with the Earth Strong podcast and God's training. I wanted to speak on this topic because I think it's very prevalent for every single person here in America, even around the world. And it's this topic on empires. Okay, so we can go back throughout all of history, even reading the Bible, the empires there, the Roman Empire, primarily probably the most dominant empire of all time. Now, many people say America has become that, but still, I mean, the Roman Empire dominated. Um, I don't know, 500 years, something like that. It was ridiculous. But something that a gentleman studied, and I think we all need to start paying more attention to, especially here in America, is Ray Dalio. And he talked about the six-step processes of how empires come about and how they fall. And all the empires that he's studied and all the world powers have all done the same exact thing. All right, every single one of them. Let me just go over a couple, and I'm going to read here from some of my thing. It's the rise, how the empire comes about. Okay, what happens is strong education, okay, strong innovation, and strong trade. America's definitely done that. Okay, you saw after, after we kicked the Britain's butt in the Revolutionary War, and I call it the Second Revolutionary War, the War of 1812, we started to gain some steam. It wasn't really then that all this came about, but later on in the 1900s, we definitely took the next, the jump up, primarily after World War II. But during that time, we started to do more productivity started to increase. Living standards started to rise. Okay. Then you have the second phase, the golden age. The major war comes about. Everybody knows World War II. What happens? Whoever wins usually sets the rules. Well, we won. Okay. We set the rules. Fast growth, everything like that. You know, the US was on track. Okay. The next one, he calls it the debt bubble. Okay. What happens if we start to get complacent? Okay. And this is level three. Long prosperity creates complacency. All right. I talk about it all the time. We become complacent. When you get to the top, a lot of people, why they don't stay there. And I think a great example is Rocky 3. I know it was a movie, but a lot of these things, they connect. Rocky got to the top and then he started fighting guys that maybe weren't the top contenders that he should have been fighting, but he thought he was the man after being Apollo Creed. Boom, he got complacent with what he did. Mr. T came along, kicked his butt, and then he had to come back and kick Mr. T's butt the next time. Okay, that's that complacency. That's where America, they start borrowing more. People in general start borrowing more. Government always spends more. We always know that government loves to spend. They never stop. Um, and they weren't disciplined. We weren't disciplined anymore. We started just accruing debt. Now look at your debt. You can look at yourself and how much credit card debt or how much debt do you have. Wow, you're living on not money, okay? You're living on debt. And some debt, if you know how to do stuff right, could be okay. The problem is most people have no idea and it fails, okay? But you're still living, well, probably above your means at this point. Where before you were living underneath your means, but you were living okay. Now you're living way above your means, and we can see that with kids and all this kind of stuff, why people are having a hard time, and why people don't like to work as much anymore. Okay. Um, there's some other things that go into it, with level three, holding money, printing money, all that kind of stuff, but that's not always important. What I'm trying to get across here, um, how it goes with God's training. Then you start to have phase four, and this is the fracture. This is where wages get to a certain point where they keep going, 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 and all of a sudden they stagnate. Okay, then they go across. Then all of a sudden you have the wealth gap. You're starting to see all these people getting richer, 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 and the poor getting poorer, 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 poorer. Okay. Then you start to get these political divides, which we always know it's going on right now. It's crazy out of control. Because when I was growing up, it wasn't like this. Not to this extent. You always had your D's and your R's pretty much. But this extent is crazy. What happens then is you start to have collapse. All right. The unity of who you are as Americans or who you are as whatever country or nation, you start to fall apart. Okay. Just what it is. Then you have phase five. And I think that's where we are right now. Here in America, you have the internal conflict. Okay. Inflation rises, currency weakens, you know what I mean? Trust erodes. Everything starts to fight against each other. Okay. This is where I think we as Americans are. But we got here because I truly believe phase three, because we got complacent. We got comfortable. Parents, look at yourself. You made this money. So you didn't push your kids as hard as you were pushed because you wanted them to have a better life. I'm not against letting them have a better life, but it shouldn't be easier. It should not be to the extent of, oh my gosh, I'm just going to give my kid whatever they want. I'm not going to have them work. I'm not going to have them do anything. They're going to be 18 years old. I'm going to give them a car. When they turn 16, they didn't do anything for it. I'm going to pay their insurance. I'm going to pay. We've allowed this because we got complacent. Now, a lot of us can't even afford it, but we want to keep up with the Joneses because this is what this person does. I got to make sure I do it. That's what I see in society. See, when three hit, that's what happened. That's not how God taught us. God did not ever say get comfortable. I don't remember anywhere in the Bible, and please, if I'm wrong, please reach out and tell me. Where did God say get comfortable? He did not. He said, find your comfort in me. He's talking about himself. Come to me to find my comfort. See, America's in this downward spiral, and I've talked about it for 20, 25 years. Now, everybody's on the bandwagon now, but I was talking about there's something off 20 some years ago, okay? Where I was not a guy who sat on either side. I don't like government. I'm not a big fan of it. I think it's wrong. And if you read the Bible correctly, 1 Samuel chapter 8, we'll go in and dive into what happens when you ask for somebody to rule over you. There's a lot of problems that go on there. Okay. And if you never read that, read it, please. I don't care if you don't have a Bible, look it up online. 1 Samuel chapter 8 will pretty much break down what you're seeing and what happens when you put somebody else in charge instead of God is in charge. Okay. And that's what we do. Or we make the person who's in charge a God. That's even worse. Okay. So I think that's where we're at right now. I think we're in a lot of problems right now in that respect because of three. Why can't your kids do certain things that you could do? I really mean that. Why? Why do we not teach them? I talk about shoveling a lot. Why can't kids go out and shovel? Why do I see the parents when I know the kids are inside doing nothing? Why are the parents out shoveling? Why aren't you making them? You say, I don't want to make my kid. What do you mean you don't want to make your kids? You got to make them do something. Or they're just going to sit there in a diaper when they're 20 some years old. You know what I mean? Because they're not going to want to get up and go to the bathroom. Now I'm over exaggerating, but this is what's going on in this world. This is what happens. And then everything starts to fail. And then we wonder why it fails. Well, because we have allowed it to fail. It's that comfort. I keep telling people you have to stay uncomfortable. You have to. People talk to me, why do you do your workout outside? We just had a workout, okay? An Earth Strong workout. 11 people showed up. I give them mad props. It was honestly probably 3 degrees outside, between 3 to 5, with a wind chill of -5. They came, they conquered it, they did it, and everybody said, well, you're crazy. They could get hurt. They didn't. That's the thing. Our bodies know how to adapt. Yes. If they were out there, no clothes on, nothing like that, yes, probably not the smartest thing in the world, but they all came prepared. They were all ready. They all knew what they had to do. In their mind, they knew it was going to be cold. Now, there's a lot of people who told me they'd be here and didn't show up. Now, they can have every excuse in the book, but they didn't challenge themselves. They got comfortable. That bed was really nice and warm. So that's what happens. We're creating a society of too much comfortability. And what happens is when that comfortability comes, eventually something challenges it. And guess what? It collapses. It just does. And we're at that point. We can turn it around. I truly believe we go back to God 100%. We get back to Him and make Him our ruler. We can get back, but we have to challenge people. We can't be soft on every individual out there. Oh, they had a tough life. What's tough about it? Can somebody please tell me? Listen, I've worked in the city schools. I've worked in, urban schools. I worked rural schools. I worked all over the place. Okay? Tell me what's so tough about it. I've had kids that live up, in the coal regions, have a rough. We only talk about the city kids all the time. Yes, there's some city kids who do have rough. Not all of them, some of them, just like up in the rural areas. Same thing. But what's so tough? They have internet. They have a place to go to the bathroom inside. The majority of them, probably 99.9%. If they don't, there's usually assistance there, right? But tell me what's tough. How difficult it was. I remember my dad when I was growing up. I remember my grandma having an outhouse. You used to go to the bathroom outside. So if it was cold like it is now, you went outside to go to the bathroom. There was no indoor plumbing when he was growing up. They were outside in the outhouse. Now it was still there when I was growing up. We didn't use it. They had indoor plumbing then. But that's what I'm talking about. That's rough. That's tough. Us? I don't know. I think because it's not like we see on TV with Cribs and all these other kind of shows. That's not real life. That's a fallacy world that we created because we glorify these people and give them millions of dollars through our likes and through our buying of their stuff and all this kind of stuff. We did that. We need to change. We need to do it for this man right here. He didn't ask for that. He asked us to suffer at times. He asked us to get uncomfortable like he did for us. 3 hours hanging. But probably the worst part was his getting beat beforehand. They showed pictures of what it probably looked like, of what he looked like. That beating would have destroyed all of us. And if you haven't seen probably some renditions of it, and like I said, I know it's a movie, but The Passion of Christ, go look at what they used to whip and beat him. And that's what he did for us. And yet we're going to act like life is hard when I got to go out and shovel or it's cold out or I can't do this because I need to sleep. Come on, people. We're in that decline as Americans, but we don't have to stay here. Okay. I used it as that was an example of the empires that fall. We will be next. Humans will be next. And then nothing will happen. And then the earth will be done. Right. When God comes back. Because many of us are not going to be here. We have to decide what we want to do. Do we want to serve this man? Or do we want to serve that money and all this other kind of comfortability that we are serving right now? Not everybody, but there's a lot of us out there. Make your kids do work. Make them challenge them. Get them uncomfortable. Don't stay up with the Joneses. I could care less about what this person makes. I could care less. I don't care. If they live that lifestyle, that's on them. I don't want to live like that. And we shouldn't because this man didn't. And he was the King of Kings. He didn't live like that, but he gave everything he had for us. Make the decision, guys. Hope you are well. Be blessed and God bless you.